If you're some type of seasonal service-based business, that could be anything from travel and tourism, agricultural services, even things like snow removal, that means you can't earn while you sleep. You can't earn during certain times of the year. That can be very hectic for you as a business owner. You can easily feel financially overwhelmed unless you plan accordingly and you do your sales and marketing correctly. We're going to talk about how marketing methods, marketing tactics can relieve you of this overwhelm and solve this for you. My name is Irshad, partner at Dropkick Copy. We are direct response marketers. Our oversight works on all levels of the funnel, but it's the bottom of the funnel that we're most interested in: email and SMS, all that retention, all that good stuff. There's some interviews in the description box below. You can watch my partner Nabil interview some of our past clients. But first, let's continue with the rest of this video. So how I like to think of it is, if you're running a seasonal service-based business, you want to have money management habits. You want those habits to allow you to obviously be profitable and keep some profits, but you also want to build cash reserves that you can inject back into the business, particularly for sales and marketing. So these money management habits, well, it's about making hay while the sun shines, really, and spending on essential business expenses during this peak season where there's plenty of opportunity available to you. Spend on what you need to spend on if it's critical, right? You also want to maximize profits and profitability during this season, right? You also want to collect on any debts owed to you and pay off any debts that you owe, right? So you want to be walking into the off season having a clear idea of what the rest of the season is going to look like from a financial perspective, right? From a finances perspective. If you do this during peak season as well, like, it allows you to make any money back. If you're falling short somewhere, you can make it up because the opportunity is there available to you. Do you understand what I mean? So that's what I mean when I say money management, right? This peak season is critical to the whole thing. If you do it well, you're going to have money to spend on creating revenue generating activities for the off season, and you're going to have money to spend on sales and marketing in the prelude to the next season. But realistically, with these types of business, what you're actually trying to build is a year-round business. You don't want to be seasonal. You want to have revenue coming throughout the year, right? So what you're trying to do really is, take your expertise, figure out what else you can do for the rest of the year using the same staff, the same services, the same assets, tools, etc., right? Create things to do, create revenue streams that can work throughout the rest of the year. Create offers that can be put out throughout the rest of the year, adjust prices, create off-season price incentives, right? And if demand shifts based on geography, you want to also be able to move sometimes. So surf camps would do this. Surf camps can only work when it's not raining. So if there's rainy season hitting one area, they can up the surf camp and move somewhere else, right? So this is the kind of thing you're trying to do with this type of business. Let's talk about how to market this business. So, I want to assume that you've got a business running. I'm not going to tell you how to start the business from scratch, right? Or sell it from scratch. Let's say your offers are running. It's working this year. But next year you want to sell more. You want to do better. You want to grow, right? So what do you do from a marketing perspective? Well, first off, you would want to take historical data. You want to study the numbers and optimize. So what are you optimizing? You're optimizing your funnel. You're optimizing your ads for conversions. You're going to find out how much money is spent versus how many leads are acquired, things like that. You're also going to want to engage in performance marketing and retargeting, right? So you're trying to optimize all these things first, optimize the language around your whole funnel, really. So start there. Understand where the bottlenecks are by looking at the numbers. That's where you start. The other thing you want to do is you want to work backwards from the meetings or the checkout process, or work backwards from customer service, right? What you're trying to do is you're trying to find out what obstacles there have been in the past to people purchasing your service, or what obstacles there were to closing the deal. If your service is the type of business where there is a meeting and a discovery and all that type of stuff, having those meetings is going to help you understand what people are looking for, and when the deal falls through, it doesn't work out, you can also follow up and ask why. Once you learn why, that's going to also sort of inform you about what bottlenecks exist. So the marketing of these businesses really, there's a shoulder season. I think I mentioned it before. There's a pre-season, also called a shoulder season. The bulk of your budget is being spent for success during that period, as opposed to the peak season. That's the thing to keep in mind, because even though there is a peak season, demand and interest starts way before that. Okay, so your marketing messaging, your marketing materials, whatever, you're going to be creating, ideally you want to create incentives, 4 to 6 months in advance for people to book early, right? You want to capture demand way before the peak season, right? So you want to get people to book with you and commit to you early, and you do that by offering incentives, right? So you're going to want to market those incentives too. Another thing you can do to capture more of the early demand is to create these referral programs, such that people commit to you early, and then people share the opportunity to other people early as well, possibly with some benefit to them. Maybe they get a discount on it. So promoting a referral program also helps capture a lot of the early demand. So like I said, all of this is happening pre-season, right, in the build up to the season. So your marketing messaging should lean into things like anticipation, excitement. This is the type of language you use. This is what you're going for. You're trying to get people excited and anticipate what's going to happen in the season, the money they're going to make, the experiences they're going to have, etc., right? So anticipation, excitement is important. You want to lean into planning, this idea of planning, because people will want to plan for the season. So content and tools related to planning will go down well. Get them prepared for what's about to happen. You also want to lean into scarcity, urgency, right? FOMO. Why? Because everybody knows during peak season, capacity gets filled fast. So they need to act now or miss out. So that stuff works well too. And like I said, since you're looking into the previous voice of customer data you acquired through meetings and customer service data, you can use that to inform your marketing messaging too. Find out what obstacles there are that have prevented people from purchasing in the past, and develop marketing messages to counter that. And this can help raise the number of people that book with you or work with you in the coming season. If you're doing your sales and marketing correctly, then in the peak season, you would have also gathered and accumulated a ton of emails and phone numbers. Now is the time that is going to shine, because in the build up to the shoulder season, you want to tap into that list. You want to find people who inquired the last time but didn't take you up on your offer. You want to look into that list and find people who are customers of yours and see if you can invite them back to use your service again, right? So having a list like this is really important at this point in time in the build up to the season. It also allows you to market to people cheaper than if you were to rely on other methods like paid ads and stuff, right? In the off season, when the tendency is to like cut down costs, right? Rather than have a cost cutting mindset, just use the cheaper channel. This is what I'm saying. So you don't have to kind of be stingy with your spend on sales and marketing. Just invest that in a channel where you get more bang for your buck, right? The saying is, for every dollar spent on email, for example, you get $40 back. I believe for SMS, it's estimated like $25 back, right? So these are the channels you want to go to in the off season. And then broadly speaking, services tend to get productized and commoditized, and competition is going to be really high. So you don't want to end up in a price war. You want to lead with value. You want to always show that we're creating value for your life. Here is the value. Don't you want this value? So things like showing before and after pictures, showing people the benefits instead of the features, really showing people the outcomes rather than the deliverables. Show them what the solution feels like. Show them that we are priced at this price because of the value you provide. we provide, right? So that's the type of thing you want to do in your marketing messaging. If you are talking about features and deliverables, just know that it serves the purpose of making you seem like an authority, making you seem like an expert, because the way you talk about the nitty-gritty finer details in life shows the depth of your knowledge about the subject matter, right? So there's a place for that too. Yeah, just know that that's what the effect that it's supposed to create, right? And then also you want to incorporate social proof in your marketing messaging, reviews, testimonials, case studies and stuff. That stuff goes down well in establishing the value you provide. So all of this that I've just mentioned now is the stuff that you're putting together to create marketing messages for the pre-season and the build up to the season. Okay, now let's talk about what you do during the season. So I mean, in peak season, more or less the same tactics and philosophy kind of applies, but in peak season you're trying to sell harder. So direct response, you're going to pay attention to the copy more. Direct response is going to be a thing. You got to hard sell. You want to push the urgency more. Act now. Time is running out, right? Because it's a season thing, so time is running out. So, and you have an opportunity to sell hard. There is more urgency at place to do that, right? So your messaging is going to be more direct responsey. You also want to push the premium pricing because demand is high. This is the time you have to make money. Remember we were saying make hay while the sun shines. There's abundance of opportunity right now. So during peak season, sell your premium stuff, push that more. You understand? And obviously lead with value so that you can justify the premium price. All of that's going to be in the messaging. And you also want to have messaging around getting people to switch to your service, right? Because during peak season, your competitors might be having capacity issues. We all do, right? So peak season is the time where certain people don't get their needs met because of capacity issues. The demand is too high, right? So you want to have messaging in there that kind of gets people to switch over to you, highlights the flaws of the competitor, whatever you want to do. You want to have some kind of language around getting people to switch to you, right? So that's what you do during peak season. So in off season, slightly different from pre-season, you're kind of reining it in a bit. You're not hard selling so much. You're not necessarily putting offers out there. You're just doing brand awareness. So here's where you can go ham with your kind of abstract ideas about your mission, your vision, your values, I guess. You want to do a lot of brand awareness stuff. You want to also this is important, you want to lead capture now. Granted, you lead capture during peak season, but in off season, you also want to do some lead capturing in anticipation for the shoulder season. So continue your lead capturing activities. In fact, during peak season, people are transacting with you, right? So you capture leads from the transaction. But in off season, people aren't transacting with you. So you need another type of lead capture method. So a lead capture campaign would be necessary here, right? You also want to be leaning into loyalty campaigns, anything to retain people, re-engage people. All of that stuff's going to be there. Those are separate campaigns. Messaging around that, and again, your contact lists are going to shine here. And then in off season, if you have any kind of off season offers, you want to be writing messages, marketing messages to the target segment for that offer. You understand what I mean? So if during peak season you're servicing a certain type of customer, and in off season it's a different type of customer, obviously you're going to have marketing messages for that type of customer. That's the kind of thing that's you're going to need to do. More or less, that's kind of it. So shoulder season messaging, peak season messaging, and off-peak season messaging, it's all been covered. Just to conclude, you might know this already, but it's important to state, just because you're a seasonal business, it doesn't mean you can't service other types of demand frequencies. Just because you have a seasonal offer doesn't mean you can't offer other things. For example, you could be a company that does projects. It's a project-based service, but you've identified that there's a season where you can service a need. So you create a special offer for that season, right? Really, primarily, you're a project-based service business. Or you could do other things. You could be a company that identifies a season, puts out a performance-based offer, But you do something based on performance. Try us, see if we perform during the season. Once we perform, if you perform for them, they can stay on with you and you can put them on a retainer. It's a recurring service. Understand? So a lot of the time there's these hybrid opportunities that exist which you can tap into. But for this video, there's a series of 4. I'm doing these one at a time. In this one, I'm talking about a seasonal based offer and how you can market it. I hope that made sense to you. That's about it. Check out the other videos if you get time. Take it easy.